people are deadlifting, and he's just like, please, Al, please, I want to do a moonsault.
The contestants luck out because instead of wet mud, they end up in a rock quarry instead.
Oh, thank God.
Like, phew.
Woof. Alternate title, Chomp Chomp Chomping on Maven's arm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wrestling Academy, a podcast all about wrestling history with no linear timeline or trackable syllabus. So, if you're a lifelong fan or if you're brand new, this right here is the podcast for you. I am your Headmaster, Samee Junio.
And I am just a guy named Michael Classic. And this is Wrestling Academy Summer School all summer long. We are going to be loosening our ties and letting out our soaking wet hair to cover Tough Enough Season 1, a reality TV show that came out, year of our Lord, 2001.
2001. Anything goes.
2001. Anything goes when you're away from home. So as you might have heard up top in our very last episode, me and Samee played a diabolical version of the circle game here on Wrestling Academy.
Virtually.
And we've played it virtually. We played it remotely. And the stakes were, if I lost this entire episode, Samee would be the headmaster of Wrestling Academy. Mm-hmm. And as you could tell by the intro, I lost. And much like Tiny Taylor from Tough Enough, all week long, I've just been having a real identity crisis. I don't know who I am, and things have been getting really existential. I was at the grocery store and I looked at myself in the reflection of the frozen food section and I just said, who are you? The answer, Samee? I don't know. But no time to unpack any of that because we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And when we hit that goal, your headmaster, Samee Junio, is going to put this random guy through a table for real. So if you're watching us on YouTube or you can get to us on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button.
Now that I'm thinking about it, me having the title headmaster and just slamming some random guy through a table, I feel like maybe that's illegal now.
Here's the thing. If you hit that subscribe button, I can legally sue Samee Junio. I can sue Samee because I'm not technically a student right now.
Oh my gosh, you're a student. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm just a random guy. I'm not even enrolled here right now.
Just so litigious you are, my goodness.
I'm just a random guy who loves wrestling and loves to sue people.
So help Michael sue me. Go to youtube.com/@WrestlingAcademyPod. Hit that follow button. And I don't know, watch me get Michael through a table and then get in trouble about it.
Now that I'm not the headmaster, I'm looking around. There are a lot of OSHA violations here, dude. You gotta really shore things up around here. Or headmaster, I'm gonna sue you.
I really hope you don't sue me. And there's somebody else who we hope doesn't sue us. We've been calling them Ween Kid.
That's right. We're looking for somebody not to sue them, but just to find them.
After our Royal Rumble 2008 episode, we became addicted to trying to figure out who this person in the background of every entrance of Royal Rumble 2008 was, and we need your help. So if you have any tips or clues, go to our website, wrestlingacademy.university, to leave an anonymous tip, or call us on our Ween Kid tip line. The number there is 708-669-4512. Ween Kid, please don't sue, but we'd like to talk to you.
But Samee, all that stuff, that's the future. What are we talking about today?
Well, random guy, today we're going on the road and then hanging with the Rattlesnake for episodes 10 and 11 of Tough Enough.
But before we dive in, what's been happening on the season so far?
13 Diamonds in the Rough were picked by MTV and WWE to participate in a 9-week wrestling competition show. During this time, they will train every single day, be it mentally or physically, to determine if they are tough enough. The winners of this show, one man and one woman, will walk away with a guaranteed WWE contract, placing them on a fast track to a dream come true. Of course, they can't achieve superstar status alone. Nurturing Al Snow serves as their lead trainer while Miss Jackie, Tori, and Taz co-coach the contestants in the ring. Producer John Gaburik, aka Big, is also there, facilitating activities and weekly challenges, kind of keeping an eye on the contestants whenever they're not in the ring or at the gym. Each week, surprise guest superstars drop in on the contestants in their shared home or at the training facility. People like Mick Foley, the Hardy Boys and Lita, Triple H, and Kurt Angle. Ever heard of him?
He took him to the Bahamas.
He really did. Out of 13 contestants, 6 eliminated themselves, proving that the wrestling business is truly a tough one. Bodybuilder Jason had the physique, but not the heart for wrestling. Bobby Joe, she thought the show would be a stepping stone to Playboy. Stunt woman Victoria rolled out of the competition like she was rolling out of a moving vehicle. Tall Paulina had the perfect physique for the business, aside from her knee, which was broken, torn, and sprained by the time she left. Hot Tub Chris's mood flipped and he got himself out of the hot water of the competition because he lost his smile. And Baseball Greg, who had us all convinced that he'd be the one to win it all, had to walk away due to an injury he kind of already had. Bad Boy Daryl and Shadrick McGee opened their lockers to find red tags, sending them home after it was clear that they weren't quite tough enough. With 8 weeks of training behind them, our semifinalists are dancer Nydia with her spunky and quirky determination, Tiny Taylor with passion and laser focus to find a place where she belongs, ladies man Maven who literally can't stop attracting attention, Ivy League Chris who will stop at nothing to achieve his goals, and Stone Cold Josh who is short in stature but tall in love and devotion to professional wrestling. We last saw Josh and Maven on the steps of the shared house promising, "You don't quit for me, and I don't quit for you."
And with that, we roll into episode 11, Lessons from the Road. Original air date, August 30th, 2001. Samee, any alternate titles for this episode?
Alternate title, Tossing Taz's Salad.
Alternate title, What Do You Do with a Drunken Tailor?
Alternate title, Are We Going to Go Backstage?
Alternate title, Chomp Chomp Chomping on Maven's Arm. Alternate title, Jonathan Coachman, biggest heel in the WWE?
Alternate title, Can someone please check on Taylor?
Oh, brother. This is a meaty episode. A lot happens here.
Thick episode.
This is a thick episode. So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
We start off at the training facility tracks. The contestants are training hard. And we start by seeing Ivy League Chris immediately getting sent over the top rope, and he grazes his nuts a little bit on the ring rope and is forced to walk it off. No time to unpack any of that because Al Snow announces that the cast, as part of their training, they're going to learn what it's like to travel as a WWF superstar in their first travel loop. They'll be hitting the road. They're going to travel to Chicago to see a pay-per-view event. Then they're going to be traveling to Milwaukee for Raw. And then the very next day, they're going to be heading to Indianapolis for an episode of SmackDown. And I was just thinking about the timeline. I was trying to, because they don't mention any of the dates or places. And so I really tried to do a deep dive to find the exact events that they went to. And so I hopped on Google. I did a lot of digging around. And here's what I found. Events they went to. August 29th, 2001. Backlash 2001 was in Rosemont, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. When I went to college in Chicago, I went to an episode taping of Raw in Rosemont. So I'm pretty sure that's the event. So then the next day, April 30th, they were Monday Night Raw in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So the dates line up.
Okay.
Then May 3rd, so that Thursday, May 3rd, 2001, they were in Indianapolis for an episode of SmackDown Live. And Samee, I know what you're thinking. I looked at the results of Raw and SmackDown. I didn't see an Al Snow or Miss Jackie match anywhere. Well, here's something you need to know. When they're filming Monday Night Raw, they also get exclusive footage that they turn into a TV show that comes out on Saturdays called WWE Metal. And so the August 30th, 2001 episode of WWE Metal, Al Snow fought S.A. Rios and Miss Jackie fought Molly Holly. Both matches that appeared in this very same episode. So I'm pretty sure this is the travel loop, which if we go all the way back to episode 4, when they went to an episode taping of SmackDown that Al Snow was on, that makes me fairly confident to predict that episode of SmackDown was the March 8th, 2001 episode of SmackDown, live from Washington, D.C., where Al Snow fought William Regal to see who would become the commissioner of SmackDown. William Regal ended up winning. Al Snow lost. But I digress.
I think that you just earned your Headmaster cap back.
I'm just a guy. I'm just a random guy, dude.
I think you've earned it. I would have never spent the time to do that. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that you did. I'm saying that is some Headmaster shit, and you've earned it back.
Back to the episode of Tough Enough. Mm-hmm. As everybody's packing up around the house to go on the road, Taylor heads downstairs to call her parents, and she's talking to her father, who admits that he tried watching an episode of wrestling and he just couldn't stomach any more than just a few minutes of it.
Maybe I'm confused, because I thought that he was saying he watched a few minutes of Tough Enough. Something that we didn't address yet is that Tough Enough episodes were releasing in real time.
Whoa, I thought he tried watching Raw or something and then just couldn't stand watching wrestling. But I guess maybe you could be totally right. They were watching Tough Enough while it was airing, and watching their daughter chase her dreams, they couldn't stomach more than a few minutes of it. Ugh, boy.
Yeah, that's rough. Oh, Taylor, poor thing.
But the call gets even worse, Samee, because Taylor's mom is excited for the competition to be over so Taylor can come home and watch TV. She literally is like, yeah, you could just come home and watch TV. And Taylor's like, no, Mom, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this. Like, I have a really good shot at winning this. And then her mom gets really exasperated and point blank says on the phone, I don't want you to win. I don't want you to be a wrestler.
This is such a bummer, and it makes me so sad for Taylor, and I triple quadruple back Taylor to win, because wouldn't it be so nice for her to win and be like, guys, you suck.
To prove all the haters wrong, especially the haters who birthed her.
Her hater creators. Yikes,
her hater creators. But Samee, no time to unpack any of that, because we're on the road. The contestants land in Chicago to go see Backlash. Everybody's riding around in style in a limousine. We hit the arena, and Al wants the contestants to learn respect for every single aspect of the business. So he makes the Tough Enough crew help the ring crew assemble the ring for the pay-per-view that night.
Through this entire series, I've been like semi-jealous and kind of convinced myself that I can do this thing or that thing. But when I watch them help the ring crew build the ring, oh boy, did I get so pumped, did I get so jealous.
It looked cool. It looked like so much fun. And I too was watching them all plug in the mat and assemble all the scaffolding and seeing the ring come together. I was just like, yeah, that really took me back to my theater tech days.
Oh, dude, honestly, if anybody listening or anybody watching, if you're a wrestling promoter, just invite me and make me build the ring.
Samee is good at it and will do it. So that's just a standing offer. Later that night, we cut to the contestants at a bar in the VIP section, and Taylor is getting drunk, dude. We cut inside the car. The entire Tough Enough crew is there, and Taylor gets very aggressive and flirty with Maven in the back seat, and the whole rest of the Tough Enough cast, except for Stone Cold Josh, is just egging this all on while Taylor is just throwing herself at Maven, who could not be any less interested, and he's trying to very respectfully keep her a distance, and at a certain point kind of has to like restrain her a little bit. When the flirting doesn't seem to be going that way, she just starts punching him in the neck and head, and so he has to like physically hold her while it's there, and then while he's doing that, she bites him in the arm, according to a talking head from Maven, so hard he had the mark for a week.
I can't believe this footage made it onto television, but I can believe it because it was MTV in 2001. Oh my gosh. I do want to call out Josh and how he fully shuts down physically and emotionally when this stuff is happening. And he's sitting right next to his best friend, Maven. You see Josh just try his hardest to fold his entire body in half to not be associated at all with what's going on.
I honestly just wondered if it was one of those things where he was like, my girlfriend Jamie's going to see this. I can't look like I'm associated with this. The next day, they all head over to Ivy League Chris's parents' house for a nice home-cooked meal and some Chicago hospitality. But Taylor is so hungover from the night before that she ends up puking in Ivy League Chris's parents' guest bathroom. But when she's like, yeah, I straight up was up there puking, then it cuts to Maeve and he's like, I thought that was kind of cool. So that seemed to catch Maven's eye, whereas...
He likes her sober.
Yeah, the night before he wasn't interested, but seeing her puke, the ladies' man is interested.
I don't understand why this visit was so important that poor hungover Taylor had to be dragged to Ivy League Chris's family's home to meet his mom, his dad, his sisters for breakfast only. Yikes.
Ivy League Chris was kind of a total dick about this. Surprise, surprise.
Shock.
But in the talking head, he was talking about how, oh, yeah, well, I mean, if I wanted to see my family, I had to bring all the tough enough people there. So be it. And then he brought them all there. His parents seemed so nice. And we're like, oh, wow, this is all of Ivy League Chris's friends. Like, hi, I'm Ivy League mom. Oh, I'm Ivy League dad. Come check out my living room where we've got dogs playing poker here on the wall.
Dude, so they had 4 separate dogs playing poker pictures hung right above a couch. And for some reason, the series of photos being dogs playing poker, being like 6 inches above a couch, just those pictures, then nothing else for a long while on the wall, made me kind of believe that they hung those because the Tough Enough crew was coming to invade their space.
I could just see somebody, Ivy League Chris's mom, like kicking open the daughter's door and being like, guests are coming, set up the dogs playing poker. It's
furiously
like,
vacuuming.
Nobody cares. It's like, put up the dogs playing poker. Like, we got to put our best foot forward.
And while the other contestants are kind of milling around the house and stuff, we get a talking head from Nydia, and she's like, this house was exactly what I expected.
She said
Yikes.
So little, yet said so much. You know what I mean?
100%.
Back on the road, we're driving to Indianapolis. Taylor does a talking head about how supportive Ivy League Chris's parents were on his wrestling journey and wishes that her parents could be more supportive like that instead of wishing for her to fail. But no time to unpack any of that because we're at SmackDown, baby!
Oh my gosh. They're backstage at SmackDown and they're kind of gathered around.
They're looking at all the superstars milling about. They see Chyna walk through and they're like, oh, that's the women's champion Chyna. Oh my God.
And then poor knucklehead Nydia sincerely looks into Al Snow's face and goes, are we gonna go backstage? Al looks at her and is like, you are backstage. And then we get a tasty, oh, brother, face from Al Snow. We love to see it.
The classic exasperated Al Snow. You love it. You love it.
I do.
So we are wandering around backstage and they encounter the wrestler / road producer, the Brooklyn Brawler, who wants to show them where they shoot their pre-taped segments and their interviews. And then when they go in that control room where they've got like a little backdrop and a camera set up, the Brooklyn Brawler asks, do you guys want to try cutting a promo? So Samee, we watched all the remaining contestants try their best to cut a promo. Who do you think did the best one? So I'll remind you, the promos were Nydia cut a promo on Chyna. Mm-hmm. Taylor also cut a promo on Chyna. Mm-hmm. Josh got the nickname The Sponge, and he had to cut a promo on Rhino. And then as a little added bonus, Rhino walked in and then they made him watch the promo he just cut with Rhino present. Then we had Ivy League Chris, who just straight up glazed the Undertaker for the whole time and then said he could beat him because he was trained by Al Snow.
Mistake.
And then Maven cut a promo on Raven.
Out of all of those, I think Maven did the best. Nydia's cracked me up, though, because she started hers with, hey, Chyna, how you doing? It's like, uh-oh, buddy. We didn't see any footage thus far of them cutting promos. So that would have been nice to see them working on those.
Here's the thing. I don't think they ever did.
You don't think so?
Did you not see Taylor's fish out of water promo? There's absolutely no way they were working on promos. Here's what I think. I think producer Big, instead of his weird Friday challenges, I think he should have taken instead of taking them to go mud wrestling or taking them to climb a freaking rock wall, I think he should have taken them to acting class. It would have made less compelling TV, but you wouldn't be sending these kids to die on live television.
In front of the Brooklyn Brawler.
They sent those kids to the Brooklyn Brawler completely unprepared to laugh at them as they failed.
Most all of their promos kind of started with a, hey, you're bigger and better than me, but I'll beat you. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, is that kind of the format of promos? It's a roast, but you're also being nice and paying respect to them.
I don't think they were giving any training or structure to the promo. I think what honestly happened is they were all put in a no-win situation because I feel like they're in a room full of people who work on SmackDown, who are around this all the time. So that all the wrestlers they're talking about, all these people know them personally. So I feel like if the rookies got a little too cocky and were like, I could beat you, no problem, then they were going to get hazed by everybody in the locker room. But if they just kind of went the safe route and were just kind of ass kissers the whole time, they would then get made fun of by all those same wrestlers for being bad at giving promos. And so I just felt like no one was going to be able to win. And they really, truly set everybody up to fail in this challenge. And I think everybody went the safe route because, you know, if you stepped out of line like Ivy League Chris did, then you had to pay the ultimate price.
And the ultimate price was what, 35 push-ups?
Yeah, you had to do we'll get there in a second. So
sure.
Ivy League Chris's promo, I transcribed it because it just really made me laugh. So I'm going to really try my best to a dramatic reenactment of Ivy League Chris's promo. So
I can't wait.
They sent him up there, and with all the enthusiasm of a hostage video, Ivy League Chris cuts the following promo. Undertaker, you've had a decade of destruction. One of the greatest to ever grace the WWF. 6'10", 320 pounds. My God, you're impressive. But you know what? I'm ready to take over. You know what? I've got one thing you don't have. I've been trained by Al Snow. So come Judgment Day on Sunday, you're mine.
In storyline, Al Snow is that crazy dude who carries a mannequin's head. But I've got one over you, Undertaker.
Yeah, I've got something you'll never have. 2 months of training from Al Snow, dude. You've never been beaten at a single WrestleMania. But 2 months with Al Snow, your ass is mine, dude. We immediately cut to an exclusive footage that I honestly thought was a real bummer. Now, granted, I felt like Ivy League Chris was a real dead fish in his promo. He just, charisma wasn't there at all. But we see that Ivy League Chris is getting punished by the Brooklyn Brawler and backstage interviewer Jonathan Coachman. They're making him drop down and do 40 push-ups and say, I apologize for being stupid. And like, I'll never goof up like that again. And I think, again, it's that no-win situation we were talking about. I think it's just because he called out The Undertaker and said he would win, instead of just sitting there being like, hi, Undertaker, I'm Chris, and I have no chance of winning. You're the best. You know what I mean? I guess that's the only thing those wrestlers would accept. But Jonathan Coachman comes off so rude and so
just
bad here.
Rancid.
Really coming across like a real bully. And I get that he's sort of playing it up and he's trying to keep a bit going and making it seem like Ivy League Chris is in real trouble for this promo. But like, I get that he's razzing him. I get that he doesn't actually feel this way. And you could really tell that he's like winking to Al Snow. But Coach looks bad in this footage.
Yeah. This aggressive hazing that makes no sense felt incredibly sad and like pitiful to me.
And you see him and Kevin Kelly, who are in the WWE on screen. They're just these two pencil pushing geeks who are backstage interviewers who I can pull up tons of clips right now of The Rock just roasting the hell out of both Kevin Kelly and Jonathan Coachman on a weekly basis. So to see them get any amount of power and then are immediately like, oh, well, I'm going to haze Ivy League Chris. It did make me feel bad for the guy. I thought Chris was a good sport about it.
Sure.
But it's, again, just yo, coach, chill, dude.
Relax,
Chill.
dog.
Chill,
Bench
man.
yourself.
So after this, we cut, and Ivy League Chris does a talking head where he admits that the promo portion is the biggest flaw in his game. He feels pretty good about his standing in the competition, but when it comes to promos, that's where he's weak. And then Maven comes through, and they're like, you good? You just going to go off the top of your head? Maven's like, yeah, I think I got it. And he cuts a pretty nice promo.
Pretty solid, yeah.
That makes everybody go like, woo. And compared to all the other promos we've seen thus far, Maven is far away the best promo. And I think it was at this moment it clicked in my head. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Maven is going to win this contest because just look at the promo. Look at everybody's promos. He was the only person who acted like he deserved to be there in any capacity or just looked like he deserved to be there. So I think that promo alone, I was like, I think Maven's going to win.
Out of the 13 original contestants, who would you have loved to see in this part of the show cut a promo?
Daryl would have been good.
I think that he could probably pull off a pretty solid delusional promo.
Yeah, he has the he has the grandioseness to be a larger than life character who would cut a solid promo where it's like, I think this guy believes he could win whether or not he can. So I think Daryl would have been good. I also just think Bobby Joe would have been pretty funny to see her cut a promo because she 100% would have mentioned that she wanted to do Playboy. Which
I love boobs. I love my big boobs. Like, that's all she said on the show anyway.
You may be the champion, but I would like to be in Playboy because that's she would say that every single chance she got. So I was just like, oh yeah, put her on camera and she's going to immediately bring it up again. Yeah. What about you? Any of the contestants you'd love to see cut a promo?
I mean, obviously, Baseball Greg would have been fun to see. I have a sick curiosity about what Hot Tub Chris would say.
What if he just you saw the darkness in him unlock, and then he was just like, I will. And you're just like, oh, we do it. We knew you were bad.
Got you. Hello. But yeah, I think those two. Everyone else, I feel like just didn't strike me as people who would have had strong presence in a promo anyway. So
we're still backstage, but now we're at catering. And Taz joins Ivy League Chris and Josh for dinner, and he criticizes their diet. Classic Taz. He's looking around. He's like, well, I got salad and chicken, and you guys are eating lasagna. Like, come on, man, you got to get your physique up or whatever. So Taz has turned into a total almond mom, and you can tell that even while he's razzing everybody, even though he's a total bastard, I think he has warmed up to the kids. Is kind of what I took away from that scene.
I agree, because it sounded like he was already sitting down eating dinner, and then he saw the kids, and he stood up and went to go sit with them, even though all he did was pick on them for eating lasagna. And I'll tell you what, if there's a buffet and there's a choice between lasagna and chicken and salad, I'm going to eat the fucking lasagna, even if I have to wrestle within seconds of finishing dinner. There's no way I'm going to skip on lasagna.
While everybody's chowing down, there's a talking head of Taylor saying that Al referred to them all as his children, and she thought that was pretty cool. And she gets a little bit emotional. And at that point, I was just like, damn, this phone call with her parents really, really messed her up. And I think kind of explains a lot of what's been going on this entire episode. Yikes.
Yeah. The more and more that we see and hear from her, the more and more bummed out I am, which is like, oh, that's why she didn't show up in the first 4 episodes, because her life, it's sad.
Yeah, the reason she didn't show up in the first 4 episodes is because her parents were making her live under the stairs or something. You know what I mean? Just straight up Cinderella's treatment, dude.
While they're in the dining hall, some superstars are coming over and introducing themselves, and the Hardy Boys come around to Nydia's table, and she gets all goo goo gaga over Jeff again.
And I just want to let Nydia know that I did a little bit of digging, and Jeff Hardy does not get married until 2011, meaning if Nydia wants to bang Jeff Hardy, all she needs to do is get this freaking tough enough contract, and then he's going to be around all the time.
Oh my gosh, bless Nydia. Hopefully she does it.
He's going to be single for the next decade. Get in there. Now we're at Raw, baby. We see the superstars doing their thing. We even get to see a couple of bonus matches that the WWF shot for a show called Metal / Jacked. It depends. They kind of changed the name halfway through the run. But in the like during this like dark match where they're filming for Metal, we get to see Miss Jackie fight and defeat Molly Holly, and then Al Snow got to have a match with S.A. Rios where he took a bunch of requests from his students on moves to incorporate during the match.
I loved this. I loved seeing Al in character because in our travels with Wrestling Academy, we really haven't seen Al Snow at all. And so it was really nice to see him and just let loose and be the Al Snow guy that he is. And I really hope that the contestants were just grinning from ear to ear watching Al in the ring.
So we're back at Tracks the next day where all the contestants are feeling rejuvenated after their time on the road and they're ready to start training harder than ever. And that is the end of episode 11.
So now we approach episode 12, Beware of Rattlesnakes. Its original air date is September 20th.
Close
2001. Close one.
Yeah, there was like a weird, I just noticed that they took like a month off and I was just like,
what happened?
Yeah, why were you slacking off so much?
2001, we get to do whatever we want.
Yeah, we just get to slack off all September. Nobody knows why. Anyways.
Yikes. All right, any alternative titles for this episode, Michael?
Yeah, alternative title. We are nothing but human candles.
Alternative title. How many fucking potatoes?
Alternative title. Al's kids.
Aw, Al.
Al.
All right. Here we go. The episode opens with Taz sincerely telling the contestants that they're great. What a shift. It only takes 9 weeks to get on Taz's good side, turns out.
Yeah, I think Taz doesn't know what he's got until it's gone. That's what I'm learning about him.
Al reminds everyone that there are only 7 days left in the competition. And so it kind of feels like we have been rolling with the final 5 since Hot Tub Chris yeeted himself out of the show a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's just what you want from an elimination-based reality competition, to spend 4 straight episodes with the exact same cast and no one gets eliminated.
Lord love the producers of the show. Like, they had such an undertaking with this show. And even though we've been spending all summer pointing out all of the flaws, I do feel for them because so many contestants self-eliminated, which they wouldn't have been able to account for. Again, we have been ragging on the producers and the production of the show, but there's also, they had such a task to build this show.
With the amount of people who quit the competition, it did really make me think, did no real wrestlers try out for this? Because, I mean, you got Ivy League Chris and Baseball Greg. They seemed like they walked in with the physique and the desire to do it, but then everybody else they got just seemed like some goober who was just like, I could probably do that. And then within 2 weeks of wrestling training, we're like, and my back hurts from falling. I quit. And just like, yeah. Did no wrestlers apply to this?
Well, I feel like, and then even though we just gave the flowers to the producers, they made huge mistakes casting this show. Or maybe this was kind of what they wanted. I'm not sure. I'm very
not sure
confusing.
either, but I agree with you. I do think they made a ton of mistakes when they were casting the show. And I don't know what criteria they were going off of, but all that to say, we've been locked in with the exact same cast, and we're going to ride out to the finale with the exact same cast. So buckle up, because no one's going home.
And nobody told us that these were the finalists. And nobody told them they were the finalists. It was... Okay, anyways, the trainers go through some of the highlights of each of the contestants. Big Chris has the body and has a good grasp on the intellectual part of wrestling. Josh has a lot of heart and has the innate sense of a wrestler. Maven has oodles of charisma. Taylor has determination that reminds Miss Jackie of herself. And Nydia, whose only talking head was Producer Big. Nydia has feminine qualities, period.
And it really is just him being like, Nydia's got feminine qualities. That could be good. It's just like, hey, Producer Big.
Relax,
man. Get out of here. Hey, Producer Big, we got it. I think we're good on talking heads, man. I don't think we need anything else.
We don't need you for this one, Producer Big. Thank you so much.
I wish we could have gotten one less talking head from Producer Big.
Just one less would have been fine. Back at the gym, Josh asks
I'd say he straight up begs.
All right. He whimpers at Al, and he wants Al to show them moonsaults.
He's
and
like, please, can we do moonsaults tomorrow? Pretty please. They're at a gym. They're at a gym. People are fucking deadlifting. And he's just like, please, Al, please. I want to do a moonsault.
He should have just put the Al wig back on, and then Al would have folded immediately.
He would have.
And Al finally says yes, and he'll show them all tomorrow. And we cut to Ivy League Chris, who just can't help but show his ass. He says, well, Josh is small and young, which works against him. So he's probably asking about high flyer stuff to get a leg up on the rest of us. To which I say, Chris, go read a book.
Hey, Ivy League Chris, why don't you go read Atlas Shrugged? Why don't you go read another Ayn Rand book, dude? Fuck out of here with your
fucking Chris.
With your Josh opinions.
Come on.
Get out of here.
Hey.
If Baseball Greg was here, he'd say, yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, I think
if
with
Baseball
that,
Greg was around, he'd say, ow, my back. Back at the house, the contestants are lounging around, and they were alerted that someone or something will be by the house around 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock swings by, and they start randomly hearing a ding that they've never heard before. Could it be a doorbell? No way. They've never heard one in this house.
It truly was Taylor being like, and then we heard some sound that was like, ding dong. What could it have been? And you're like, what are you talking about?
I mean, after that comment, I don't believe that she could be a wrestler. Just kidding. Love you, Taylor. They're sitting around being super confused, and they finally hear a knocking on the front door. And to answer the door, instead of going to the front door, they decide to go around the house. I'm not 100% sure about this problem solving that these kids have.
Ivy League Chris kind of comes out in sandals or something. He loops around the house. And who does he bump into, Samee?
He bumps into a very annoyed Stone Cold Steve Austin and his wife, Deborah. Wow, what a flop to flop.
Because they cut to Stone Cold rolling up. Him and Miss Deborah get out of the limo. And then you see him just standing at the thing being like, where the hell is... What? And he like knocks on the door. He's like, where is everybody? I would have loved it if Stone Cold was just like, let's get out of here. And then just left.
I don't blame him at all. That is definitely within the realm of appropriate responses.
He would have been well within his rights to bail. And it would have just been such a funny scene for producer Big to come to the house and be like, Stone Cold was here and he bailed.
Stone Cold is finally inside the house with his wife, Deborah. And the vibes are bad.
I'm putting myself in Stone Cold Steve Austin's shoes right now. The year is 2001. You are the WWF champion. You take time out of your busy schedule of being the top guy at the company to swing by to talk to these recruits. And after being stood out there for God knows how long, you see Ivy League Chris stumble up from the side of the house going, we'd never heard the doorbell before. He literally says that to Stone Cold. He rolls up on him being like, we'd never heard the doorbell before. I would have been so mad. Being like, you want me to hang out with these clowns all afternoon? No, thank you. They would have gotten a very, very in character. I was about to say Headmaster, but for the rest of the episode, that's not me. They would have had a very angry guy named Mike.
Yeah, who would sue them all.
Let's just say, you keep me waiting, you're going to get sued, dude.
I love that when you're not the headmaster, you're just Sue guy.
Yeah, this is...
it's Mr. Litigious. So the vibes are bad with Stone Cold for a while, but then he starts loosening up. He tells the contestants about his beginnings of his career, where he drove 400 plus miles round trip to wrestling school and sustained himself on 8 tins of tuna and a 15-pound bag of potatoes between paychecks. He further broke it down and said, from what I can tell is that he ate the 8 tins of tuna within 2 days. And then for 3 days, he only ate raw potatoes. 15 pounds of raw potatoes. Well, Nydia turns her attention to Miss Deborah and she asks about how it is being a woman in the WWE. And Deborah tells them that women in the WWE are like candles to the men and that they are there to help the men shine. Thankfully, this doesn't go over well with Nydia and Taylor because we both get them in talking heads saying that they want so much more than being just a candle, which is nice to hear, but also I don't want to take away from Deborah's hard work and her legacy, but I wish she wasn't just a candle either.
So here's what I'll say
Mm.
is hit by the 2001 of it all, right? We've talked about this before. This was very much smack dab in the center of the dark ages of women's wrestling in the WWE. So I think you could hear right now that there's like a hunger and a desire, even at the time, where people are like, I want to pursue this, but I also wish that it was better. And so I think Deborah is coming more from the mindset of a manager who is not an in-ring competitor necessarily. And so I think, so I'd like to think that that's the expertise she's giving, where she's like, yeah, I'm not an in-ring person. I'm like a manager. And so this is sort of what I view my role as. And so hopefully she's not saying this is what all women are required to do in wrestling. I think giving her every bit of slack I can find.
Okay.
So I will say it was 2001. Women's wrestling wasn't great. A, people wanted it to change. B, and then C, Deborah is generally just a non-competitive manager, much like a Paul Heyman.
Speaking of Paul Heyman, FKA Paul E. Dangerously, in some exclusive footage, Stone Cold Steven goes in depth about his wrestling school days and how he started at ECW by the good graces of Paul E. Dangerously. He also admits to being addicted to the rush of wrestling, and he now understands why old-timers who continue to wrestle but look like purses don't quit right away, because there really is nothing like the drug of professional wrestling.
That's a good point. That is a really cool exclusive footage that we got where Stone Cold talks about how he was in ECW for a little bit. And that's true. And he really credits his time in ECW as he wouldn't have figured out how to cut those promos that made him into the Stone Cold he is today had he not had his time at ECW. And it was a very similar situation to the Mick Foley thing. He got real burnt out and burned by WCW. He got to sort of rehab his career in ECW, and then that allowed him to go to the WWF, where he became a superstar.
Hell yeah, Stone Cold. Hell yeah, Paulie Dangerously.
I did love that in this episode of Tough Enough, it was just like 5 straight exclusive footages in a row of just, oh shit, Stone Cold said something else. We need to get another exclusive footage.
I think they knew that Stone Cold exclusive footage would become the 2001 version of viral, and so they just like kept on cutting his stuff up.
Yeah, this was the exclusive footage to wait for. I think this was sort of the feather in your cap as far as exclusive footages go.
We stomached some real confusing exclusive footage.
Dare I say rambling?
Ooh, we do say rambling. So I think we've deserved it after 9 weeks of stuff.
Yeah, we were so good. We choked down the 4 cans of tuna that were the other exclusive footages just to get some raw potatoes, which is the Stone Cold footage.
So clearly you and I are so hype on this appearance from Stone Cold. Do you have any other wrestlers that you think would have been cool to appear in season 1 of Tough Enough?
My brain wants to say something cool like, oh, if we had gotten The Rock there, that would have been so sick. But my heart immediately was just like, Scotty Too Hottie. If Scotty Too Hottie and the rest of Too Cool, so Grandmaster Sexay and Rikishi showed up to the Tough Enough house, I would have freaked out, dude. I would have been not cool about it. I would have been so excited. I would have been so excited to see Scotty Too Hottie. Too Cool. Teach me how to do the worm, dude.
The exclusive footage is just them teaching every single person how to do the worm.
They were like, we've got yellow sunglasses for everybody. That would have been a better That would have been better to give out the sunglasses than Kurt Angle if Too Cool had given out yellow Oakleys to everybody and been like, you guys are going to the Bahamas. And then it cuts to their music where it's like, everybody.
I have never wished for a time machine more than right now.
So we can get me in the writer's room for Tough Enough and I can
100%.
be like, we got to get Too Cool there, you guys.
We're now at Trax and it's finally moonsault time. Moonsaults are a pretty intense move. There's really nothing outside of you and the mat that you can't see. And you just have to take a leap of faith, really.
You climb all the way to the top of the turnbuckle and do a backflip and land on your chest. And that's pretty much, if you've done it like that, you've nailed it. But how is everybody not getting the wind knocked out of themselves constantly, dude?
I can't believe it. Well, you just kind of dissected the perfect form for a moonsault, but how long? How many weeks of wrestling training would you have to go through before you ask, whimper, beg Al Snow to teach you how to do a moonsault?
So, Samee, at the beginning of this whole journey through Tough Enough Season 1, I was pretty confident that just based on everything I was seeing, that I had everything it took to win Season 1 of Tough Enough. I don't know about the other seasons, but I definitely feel like I could have won Season 1 of Tough Enough.
Sure.
So what? It's week 9 and they're learning how to do moonsaults. I could probably do it in 8 weeks.
I have never wished for a time machine more than right now to get you at week 8 of Tough Enough Season 1.
Being like, hey, Al, I know we're all supposed to go out on the road, but how about I just pop off a couple of moonsaults?
Mr. Litigious needs to do some moonsaults before we get into the van.
Let me do a moonsault or I'm suing every single one of you.
So Al Snow chooses Josh to do the moonsault first, and our short king got in his head way too much and ended up literally flopping over and over again. To which Al decides to chuckle a little bit to himself, even though he already acknowledged that moonsaulting is very, very difficult. Is Al just getting back to him?
I'll be honest with you. I agreed with Al Snow here because Josh begged him to do the moonsault, and then it just cuts to Josh whiffing like 20 times in a row.
Oh, man. He wants to get this move so badly. I felt pretty bad about it. The other contestants kind of nail moonsaulting, and it seems like everybody else gets it in pretty quickly. We get footage of Ivy League Chris boasting and roasting over video of Josh still struggling to get the move down. Ivy League Chris is like, if I'm not the winner, then it'll be Maven. Josh is just not good enough.
Oh.
Whoa, bro.
As we learned from our episode where they took a trip to the Bahamas, where Ivy League Chris first revealed himself to be the villain of the series, he's now rearing his villainous head yet again to be like, Josh is not good enough for this.
Dude, like, have some tact. He's pretending like this whole competition was a job interview, and then in the talking head, he is showing his ass so hard. He's
talking like he got it. So he's treating the whole process like a job interview, but then his talking heads are him as though he had gotten the job already. I'm going to feel like a total dick if he does win. This is like, oh, he called his shot and he was right.
Let's buckle up to see how he does in the final challenge from producer Big. He has them on the phone and he lists out what they need to bring to the final secret challenge. Shorts, towels, bathing suits, a change of clothes, warm clothes, and the infamous boots that they wore to mud wrestling with Taz in the first week.
Do you think he's going to make them all mud wrestle again? Just to be like, yeah, we had so much fun and everybody's knees did so great. We're going to do it again.
Oh my God. I keep on replaying at the end of mud wrestling. Both Taz and producer Big keep on repeating furiously, if you have any cuts, you have to clean them out. If you have any cuts, you have to watch right now. It's like, guys.
MTV doesn't know we're here. Please wash your cuts, please.
The contestants luck out because instead of wet mud, they end up in a rock quarry instead.
Oh, thank God.
Whew.
Woof. Oh, we thought it was going to be mud wrestling. Here we are in a rock quarry.
Who is in charge? This is wild.
I'd like to think Big was on the phone and they're just like, we're out of budget, dude. We don't know what else to do for a challenge. And then he just looks over and saw a rock quarry and he's like, you guys, I got the perfect idea.
At this rock quarry, there's also a body of water. So the final challenges are a timed lap swim and a scamper up a steep hill of loose gravel.
And while these contestants are, swimming as hard as they can, climbing up these loose rocks, it just cuts to Big and he's chomping down on a cigar like he's Tony Soprano, just being like, keep, hustle.
Touch my foot. Touch my foot about it. Whoa, dude.
It's hard for me to take orders about physical fitness from somebody who's just watching me and smoking a cigar. I would do it, but I have a little bit of an attitude about it.
I don't want to reach the top. It's too smoky up there.
Yeah, it's too stinky. Smoky. It's hard to breathe. So I'll stay down here.
So Josh dazzles at both challenges, and Ivy League Chris, he doesn't do good at all. We get this delicious shot of him on this boulder by the body of water with 3 other contestants. They're all chattering, having a good time. And Ivy League Chris is turned to the body of water, staring pretty intensely. It's giving watching rain fall down a window vibes. You know what I mean?
But I guess what you got to keep in mind, Samee, is this is the second physical challenge in a row he got a DNF on. And as you know, to be a WWF wrestler, you have to F, dude.
you have to F.
I mean, here's the thing. The Undertaker, The Big Show, Kane, they all got an F on their rock climb challenge to get into the WWF. So for Ivy League Chris to get a DNF on his physical challenge, he'll never make it to the WWE because that's the only way to show that you're a wrestler. Producer Big takes you to a quarry and you scamper up a mountain. That's the only way to prove that you belong.
Well, thankfully, even though Ivy League Chris didn't have the quick feet to make it up the quarry, he is quick on his feet in the sense that he knows that he's not the top dog. And so he starts to make up for his shortcomings by cozying up and sucking up to producer Big. Isn't this literally what you called Taylor out for when she was sincerely curious about wrestling and not sucking up to look better to the producers?
It feels like he saw tricks that people used, and then he's just trying to use them to save himself. But before, he was Mr. Self-Righteous about it, where he's just like, how dare Taylor try to have a little camaraderie with the people who come in? And then here he is, right before the finish line, he's doing the exact same thing to producer Big. Yeah, it almost just feels like Chris is full of shit, and he'll do whatever he needs to survive. And I wouldn't mind it, but he really projects I would never do something like that because I'm honorable. I went to Harvard. Meh, 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 meh.
Yeah.
But his actions don't line up with what he's saying. So it's just annoying.
Thankfully, Maven and Josh see right through him, and they tease him from afar. And I think he deserves it.
I think he deserves it too. And I'm just so glad that Maven and Josh became best friends 2 episodes ago so that they could 100%. Have this kind of buddy moment. Because before that, there was no indication that these 2 were best friends, but here we are. Best friends just razzing a nerd. You know what I mean?
We leave the quarry, we're back at tracks, and we get one more superstar surprise guest. It's Ivory. Oh boy, is she super stoked to get into the ring with the contestants, which I really appreciate. It seems like Ivory is the best in-ring guest for the contestants' final days. She has no problem jumping into the ring and kind of putting her body at risk doing some maneuvers that they haven't done before, or so they said.
I also thought that this was a good counterpoint to Deborah, right? So as we said, when Deborah came in, she's an on-screen manager. That's generally what her job is. So she doesn't generally get in the ring and do bumps, whereas Ivory is a wrestler. And so she's coming in with that little bit of experience. So it got to show that there are kind of 2 tracks you can go at that time in the women's division. So there was like, okay, so there's sort of the on-screen manager role, and then there's also the wrestler role. And I think both Nydia and Taylor were like, we would much rather do it. We don't want to do this other stuff. And I think I just wanted to highlight here, right, even though we're firmly in the dark ages, there are a ton of talent who had just been blazing a trail the entire time. And that's what gets us all the way to 2012 when things finally start to change. So
yeah,
I don't want to take away from what anybody did or had to do to get through
of course.
at that time, because it was a real pressure cooker.
No time to unpack any of that, Michael, because guess what? It's Moonsaults round 2, and this time the crash pad is gone. So Taylor is first and knocks the wind out of herself, but she did a freaking moonsault. Nydia's moonsault is the best one Al has ever seen. Maven aces it. Ivy League Chris, oops, didn't do so good, buddy. And Josh, Stone Cold Josh, Short King Josh, he's so nervous. He's doubtful. He's climbing up the turnbuckles. He gets one more pep talk from Al Snow, and he hits a moonsault finally. And Al, during moonsaults round 2, was being so adorable, so cute, and so proud of the contestants. Did I cry? Yeah, sure did, Michael. And with 4 days left, it looks like the remaining 5 are all tough enough. And that's the end of episode 12 of Tough Enough, season 1.
Hell yeah. So Samee, at this point, we are right on we're on the doorsteps of the finale. Last minute predictions. Who are you rooting for, and who do you think's going to win?
You know, this may come to a surprise to you, but also to no one, because I've already been saying it for the past couple episodes. But I think it's Taylor, and I think it's Josh. I think they're showing Josh's just determination to overcome his shortcomings. They're, giving a focus on Taylor and her journey, trying to find a place where she feels like she belongs and supported. So by reality TV editing rules, I think it's Taylor and Josh.
And I guess I just wanted to point out, you sort of zeroed in on the 2 shortest people in the competition. And as a short king yourself, do you think maybe that's influencing?
I hadn't had the mirror held up to me yet.
Yeah, Samee, what do you see, dude?
I see a fucking short king, dog. That's a good point, but to me, it's Tough Enough and not who's the ideal wrestler's physique.
I agree with you. I'm rooting for Taylor, but I think after we got them on the road and we saw that promo, I think Maven pulled ahead of both Josh and Ivy League Chris. I just really think that at this point, it makes the most sense that Maven is probably going to win. He's got all the upsides of all the competitors he's up against.
Sure.
And kind of none of the downsides. So my picks, Maven, Taylor.
Well, that does it for this episode of Wrestling Academy: Summer School. Thank you for listening. Wrestling Academy is hosted, produced, and edited by Michael Classic and me, Samee Junio. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Wrestling Academy Pod, or send us an email at wrestlingacademypod@gmail.com.
Follow, rate, and leave a positive review wherever you get your podcast, but check Spotify, where we have Q&As and polls for every single episode. And please, if you have any information on Ween Kid, please visit our website at wrestlingacademy.university to send an anonymous tip, or you can call the Ween Kid tip line. That number is 708-669-4512. We got the finale. It's up next week.
Finale.
Bye, finale.
Don't sue me.